Hi, my name is Cynthia Wynn, and I am applying for the Frederick Douglass and Daniel O'Connell scholarship internship. When I think about the lives of Frederick Douglass and Daniel O'Connell, I don't just see historical figures. I see people who are just like me, who chose courage over comfort, faith over fear, and make a meaningful difference in the world. And I'm going to explain my life, why I think this internship is perfect for me, and how much I resonate with both figures. Their stories remind me that the leadership doesn't begin when circumstances are ideal. It begins when someone decides they can no longer accept injustices as normal. As a black woman myself, I grew up feeling like the only one, sometimes only black person in my classroom and even in parts of my own family. I experienced racism at a very young age and for a very long time. I learned how to survive my life, everyday life, by making myself smaller until I decided to stand up for what was right and something I learned and something I had to learn later in life. Daniel O'Connell inspires me because his advocacy was rooted in faith. As a Catholic in Ireland, he lived under a system that oppressed people based on religion and identity. Instead, separating his faith from justice, he allowed it to guide him. As a Christian myself, that deeply resonates with me. It teaches me that justice is not selective, it is global. I believe we are called to stand against oppression wherever it exists, not only when it affects us. Frederick Douglass inspires me in a deeply personal way. When Douglass traveled to Ireland, he described feeling whole for the first time, seen as a full human being rather than reduced to stereotypes or limitations. Before leaving the U.S. and United States, oppression was something he experienced personally. Abroad, he understood it as a systematic, and that understanding empowered him. I experienced something very, very similar during my internship last summer in Portugal. Being abroad allowed me to exist without constantly explaining myself or carrying the weight of assumptions. I finally felt whole, emotionally, spiritually, and purposefully. In that space, I was able to learn, serve, and lead more freely. I truly believe God used that season to expand my vision and become the leader I am becoming. This is why gaining international work experience matters so much to me. It teaches me humility, empathy, and free position responsibility beyond borders. Through studying abroad, interning internationally, and creating a children's book and serving on the first executive board for my university's first ever study abroad organization, I have learned that leadership is about creating cross access when it doesn't exist before. I didn't see myself as someone who hopes to become a change maker in the future, but I see myself as one now, actively doing the work. One of the greatest challenges I faced during high school was when I was navigating racism and also experienced homelessness. These were moments where I felt like my life had already been planned out for me, and my future was already decided what it looked like. But even those moments, I kept showing up. Those experiences taught me resilience, not as toughness, but as faith in myself and circumstances were uncertain. That period shaped the way I lead myself today. I lead with compassion because I know what it feels like to need support. I lead with intention because I understand how powerful access and representation can be. When I encounter perspectives different from my own, I lead with curiosity and respect. I listen before responding, and I ask questions instead of making assumptions. Frederick Douglass and Daniel O'Connell remind me that justice is not confined by borders, and leadership is not confined by circumstance. These legacies live on through those who choose to move forward with faith, courage, and purpose. I'm content to be one of those people. Thank you. Frederick Douglass and Daniel O'Connell remind me that justice is not contained to borders. Frederick Douglass and O'Connell have taught me that leadership is not conformed to a certain circumstances. They taught me that I am more like them than I think. I have traveled across the world. I am passionate, so passionate about advocating for people and standing up and leading for what's right, based on faith, based on my experiences, and based on my passion to spread across the world. And just like Frederick Douglass, the peace that I got when I did it. These legacies are through people who choose to carry the work forward with faith and courage, and it's who I aspire to be and inspired to commit to being one of those people. Thank you.